Let me brief myself. Here it is Sanjay Bharadwaj, Senior Faculty of History Optional and GS for UPSC Civil Service Examination. I have been mentoring and teaching the students of History Optional and GS in different prestigious institutes of India and had taught in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Bhopal, Chandigarh, Lucknow, etc. And currently working with Vision IAS, Delhi as senior faculty. So as you know, today I am going to start with the very core topic which is equally important for the prelims also. But here my intention is to make it more clear for the mains basically. The first and the foremost thing is that keep in your mind, understanding history with the slides and PDF will not make any meaning unless you know the fabric or the undercurrents of modern history. So basically my intention here is to clarify the whole spectrum of modern history. In short, I can say it is the undercurrents or dynamics of modern history, or we can call it as foundation class of modern history of India for UPSC mains 2026. So here we will cover, so myself Sanjay Bharadwaj, currently working with the Vision IAS, and see here we will proceed in this way. So this whole lecture will be around 1 hour and it will move under following domains. The first and the foremost topic which is referred here as foundation lecture. So I had referred it as foundation because this 1 hour is very meaningful. It will disclose the whole perspectives lying in the roots of the modern history. So firstly we will discuss what is modern history in the Indian context, because in Western context it has different meaning, in the Indian context it has different meaning. Secondly, we will discuss the most core part of this discussion, themes and perspectives of modern history. Here I will disclose that the whole modern history is moving on, three pillars: colonialism, nationalism, and last was a villain of the Indian freedom struggle, that is communalism. So this whole will be covered under the three domains: colonialism, nationalism, which was a reaction, and third is communalism. Thirdly, we will discuss a very challenging part. Many of you may be witnessing the same, how to memorize the facts, because history may we have lot of problems how to retain the facts. Guys, the problem is we simply cram the fact in isolation. Here I will disclose a technique how to connect the facts with the concepts. And lastly, the topic will be the trend going in the last 6 years, and we will discuss one by one. So let us start with the first, that is themes and perspective of modern history. Themes and perspective of modern history. So before going to this topic, let me clarify what is because before taking in going to the topic, it is very essential you should know what history means, especially in UPSC. Many of you may be having stigmas about history and having a notion history is simply putting the events into order, or history is simply a skeleton of events. But guys, this will not help you. So what is history? First keep in your mind, history is understanding of force of changes. So history is not simply collection of events, past events. History is understanding of forces of changes and forces of continuity. It is very important. The history is understanding of forces of changes and forces of continuity which transform the society. And what transformations? I think you are very clear. History is having only 4 transformations. It may be social, it may be economical, it may be political, it may be cultural. To develop a habit of connecting the force of changes with the transformation. What force of change? It may be invention, it may be discovery, it may be movement, it may be nature of a state. So this should be in your mind. I think it is very clear. For example, in modern history, what is the force of change? Colonialism is a force of change. Renaissance is a force of change. Nationalism is a force of change. So I think the meaning is very clear, and the best definition as given by the famous historian E.H. Carr was, it is a never-ending dialogue between the past and the present. So keep in your mind, it is not simply a skeleton of the events. It is understanding of these 2 forces and how they are influencing your socio, political, economical, cultural domain. Now the second component of this introduction is, what is modern history? To keep in your mind, in the Western world, the word modern is symbolized with the outcome of the Renaissance and Enlightenment, which triggered in Europe in 13th, 14th century. So their modernization started from there. But in Indian context, so what is modern history of India? Indian context, it symbolizes that India started influencing by the different ideas in different domains. In social domain, liberty, equality, fraternity, by the thinkers of Indian Renaissance, Ram Mohan, K.C. Sen and all. The coming of these new ideas, liberty, equality, fraternity. In political domain, we have different institutions, parliamentary bodies, judicial bodies, administrative bodies. These all institutions are taking a birth. Rule of law, equality before law. The first time India is encountering these forces. Once India became a colony after the Battle of Plassey, 57, gradually in different phases, India witnessed some fundamental changes in all domains. In social domain, political domain, economic domain, we have modern industries, modern banking institutions, etc. In transport communication, we have railways, posts and telegraph. So guys, this all collectively symbolizes that India is experiencing modernization. But keep in your mind, this colonial rule by the British is not intending for modernization. Modernization was not an intention. Modernization was not an intention, it was a byproduct. Very interesting. To keep in your mind, this modernization was not intended, it was a byproduct of colonial exploitation. All the Britishers later justified this all by claiming that whatever modernization, whatever modern values India got, it was intended. But it has all it is a historiography given by the Western scholars. But today it has been disproved. I think you may have came across a book written by Shashi Tharoor recently. He had categorized this 200 years of British rule as an era of darkness and had exposed that this modernization was a byproduct, it was not intended. So this introduction is very clear that what is modern history is very clear now. Now we are discussing the first component, themes. Now introduction is over. Now we are discussing the themes of modern history. Keep in your mind, this whole modern history is of 200 years is driven by three forces. One is colonialism, second is nationalism, and third is third is communalism. So broadly, this heading will discuss. We will discuss about the three themes, and I can assure you, once you get the concrete picture of each of them, you will develop a very broader understanding of modern history, and it will also help you in understanding the whole undercurrents lying in the modern history. Just try to understand one by one. The first is colonialism. I think many of you may be aware of the word colony. Guys, the word colony is a Latin word which has evolved from the word colonus, means any foreign territory meant for economic exploitation. That is colony. So this colonialism, this ideology, once India became the colony after Battle of Plassey, that is 1757, we have witnessed, scholars have identified, there were three streams of colonialism. First, from Battle of Plassey till 1813, this phase of colonialism is called as mercantilist colonialism. Second phase starts from here. It is called as industrial colonialism. The last was is called as financial colonialism. To try to understand the theme here, whatever is done by the Britishers, whatever, in social domain, political domain, economic domain, cultural domain, keep in your mind, it is guided by the needs of respective colonialism in each phase. In this first phase, the whole policy of the British East India Company, their social, economic, political, whatever policies, they are guided by mercantilist colonialism. Just take an example. Mercantilism means following the protectionist policies. Colonies should not be allowed to export import, monopolizing the whole T&C of colony. T&C means trade and commerce. People of colony cannot open their own industries, or they cannot go for their own trade. It means everything should be monopolized. So this monopolistic attitude is called as mercantilist colonialism, where the colony has to serve the interests of only mother country. They cannot start their own economic enterprise. Hence, in this phase, their only motive is to monopoly. That is why they were least bothered about social progress, economic progress, political progress, or educational progress of the Indians. In this phase, Britishers even avoided taking a concrete responsibility of governance because they don't want to take liability of India. They made no changes in your education setup, your political setup, neither they interfered in culture. In fact, they glamorized or glorified our culture also, because their motive was simply to monopolize India's trade and commerce. In this phase, they started their journey with a dual government after Battle of Buxar. What is dual government? They don't want to take liability of India. You must be astonished to know they carried the same Persian language, same laws, because they had to serve the interest of this colonialism. It means only monopoly of Indian trade and commerce. Forget about everything. Leave India in the hands of God. Why to take liability? But second phase is coming. When industrial revolution was in a takeoff stage, guys, now you will witness a fundamental change in the British policies. It will help you. In this phase, industries are coming, modern industries are coming in Britain. That is why we categorize it as industrial colonialism. And you may be surprised to know, in this phase, they became very serious in social, political, economic, cultural domain, even educational domain also. In this phase, they are promoting free trade and commerce. In this phase, they are replacing our Persian language by the English as an official language in 1835. In the same phase, they are providing the Western education in India. Macaulay's Minute, 1835. In the same phase, they are bringing universities in India. Why? Because they want to serve the interest of industrial colonialism. Keep in your mind, you cannot promote the interest of industrial colonialism without interfering in India's socio-cultural educational fabric. That is why this all was guided by to serve the interest. You can see the point. In the same phase, they want large area also. Now they are jumping outside Bengal. See, here the empire, British Empire reached the climax. Annexation of Punjab, 1849, Awadh 46, Awadh 56, Sindh 43, Anglo-Maratha War 1617, Anglo-Sikh War. So why everything is going here? Because now they wanted to expand the area, that is market. In the same phase, in the economic domain, commercialization of agriculture, because industries will survive on surplus raw material, jute, cotton and all. So I think got the point. Why fundamental changes are coming here? So don't think anything is coming in isolation. So whatever changes are coming, it is guided by the nature of colonialism. And the last nature of is financial colonialism. What is financial? Because by 57, we find some fundamental changes further got noticed. India had revolted against the company's misgovernance. It was an eye-opener for the British policymakers sitting in London, British Parliament. The company's rule got abolished, and now they want to change the nature of colonialism. Secondly, by this time, Industrial Revolution had also spread in other parts of Europe, France, Belgium, etc. They were facing competition also. Thirdly, they were well aware that now we are exposed in India. So we have to start a new type of exploitation so that Indians can have a feel that this white man is now modernizing India. Hence, in this phase, you will notice coming of modern industries. Majority investors were British, not only industries, modern industries, shipping corporations, banking institutions, and many more. That means whatever changes are going there, it is not going in isolation. It is guided by the typology of colonialism. Once this picture is in your mind, I can assure you, you can write a good answer in the mains. But what happens? Once we go and study the book, we simply start cramming in isolation. So first keep in your mind, in this 200 years, whatever is going, it is guided by these domains. Now coming to the second component, that is nationalism. So in the whole modern history, we have three forces: this, and this. You can picturize in this way. The modern history of India is like a movie. The name of the movie is colonialism, and every movie has hero and villain. This can be called as hero, and this can be called as the freedom struggle of India. Modern history of India comprises a movie by the name colonialism, having one hero called as nationalism, and the villain is called as communalism. But unfortunately, in this movie, both hero and villain got success. Hero got India and villain got Pakistan. Now coming to the point, what is nationalism? So here, try to understand in this way. As we define nationalism as a ideology, nationalism, it is an ideology when people living in any territory, are united by common culture or language, or historicity. So what is nationalism? When people living in any territory are united by something common. Although in Western countries it was this cultural language, but in our case it is historicity, means historical background. The people living in any territory bind together by common culture, language, historicity, plus and standing for common interest. Standing for common interest. So when you have this view in your mind, then in the Indian context, our nationalism is unique in the world. Perhaps there is no country in the world which resembles our nationalism. You see what is going in Bangladesh, what is going in Pakistan, and what is going in Sri Lanka and all. Reason, our roots are very deeply rooted, because we have evolved nationalism in this 200 years, and it got cemented because it evolved in the process of challenging the British Empire. So I think you got the point. Nationalism means people living in a territory united by these either of the three and standing for common cause. And try to understand here. Don't have a narrow interpretation, because the way we have defined people of any territory united by something common and standing for common interest. So please keep in your mind, all early peasant and tribal revolt like after the Bengal victory after Plassey and gradually after Buxar, you may have noticed the early peasant and tribal rebellions are coming in Bengal. Sannyasi, Fakir, Pagalpanthi. It means whatever peasant and tribal revolt we have witnessed in the first phase, guys, it is also a expression of early nationalism, or betterly we can say proto-nationalism. So these all can be called as an example of proto-nationalism. So whatever expressions we have, it is an example of proto-nationalism. So we can call it as secondly, very interesting, keep in your mind, our nationalism is unique in the way it had evolved in different phases. Early expression by peasant and tribals, which was very scattered, not well organized. Gradually, in the early 19th century, Ram Mohan, K.C. Sen, Dayanand, Vivekanand, they are all called as the driving force of the Renaissance. They are all called as driving force of the Renaissance. Ram Mohan, Dayanand, Vivekanand. To keep in your mind, it is not only Renaissance. The word Renaissance means, it is a French word which means reawakening. Inspired by the past thought. It is not copying the past, but inspired by the past. It may have something past culture and values, but everything is not, will not have every past. It will have some new values inspired by past. So here we find this Renaissance is also an example of what? Nationalism. This Renaissance is also example of nationalism. This Renaissance is also example of nationalism. And I am giving you the point. This is a torch bearer of nationalism. This is a torch bearer of nationalism. And I am giving example to prove it. Because we simply take in a narrow interpretation. Renaissance is coming. Renaissance is not only Renaissance. It is a driving force of Indian nationalism. Or in short, we can say, it prepared the background of Indian nationalism. Here I can prove it. These early thinkers of Renaissance, Ram Mohan, K.C. Sen and all, it were they who had evolved the concept of, I am writing in the code word S1, S2. S1 means Swaraj, S2 means Swadeshi. It is Swaraj, Swadeshi. Because thinkers, thinkers are psychologists. Ram Mohan, Vivekanand, Dayanand, they are psychologists. They know the impulse of Indian society. They know what India requires. Since once India became colony in the mid of 18th century, we lost our polity, we lost our economy, and we were encountering cultural encroachment. Hence, these thinkers are shaping the fabric of or background of Indian nationalism. What they will do, guys, thinkers, they have a art. What art? They have a art of giving shape to your grievances through their formulas. Formula means phrases or theories. That is, they know what India had lost. So they evolved the concept of Swaraj. Since you lost your economy, they evolved the concept of Swadeshi. And I am giving example. And Swadeshi by Gopal Hari Deshmukh. It is a coincidence, 1870s. Concept of national language, again Dayanand Saraswati, Hindi. Because you are witnessing encroachment in all domains, and the thinkers are giving you formulas. They can be called as a medicine. Swaraj, Swadeshi, national language. And they became the mantra of freedom struggle. Later, Congress adopted the same from 1906. Even Gandhian struggle is also moving on the same. So these thinkers are shaping the background of nationalism by some unique practices and unique slogans. Secondly, they promoted social communal harmony. First, second, see what Vivekananda is saying, what Ram Mohan is saying. So they are trying to unite the Indians by a common bond of nationality. And thirdly and foremostly, you may be surprised to know the thinkers of Renaissance, who early came from landlord families, the same thinkers became the architect of early political parties like landholder societies, British Indian Association, Madras Native Association. So you may be surprised to know whatever early political parties were there, it was the brainchild of these thinkers of Renaissance. So see what they are doing. They are giving you medicine of S1, S2. They are widening your outlook, and they are also driving political parties. So I think you got it. So it is also an example of what? Example of proto-nationalism. Now coming to the third component. Is nationalism has three dimensions. It means first phase, second phase, now third phase. Third phase is an organized phase. When nationalism is evolving in an organized way, that is birth of Congress, and here keep in your mind, try to visualize in this way that Congress has three phases: moderates, 85, 1905. Second is extremist phase, 06 till 17, and third is Gandhism. So when you see the whole history of Congress, keep in your mind, it was driven by the three ideologies: moderates, extremists, and Gandhism. They can be called as mind. Mind of Congress, early Congress, they can be called as because they are guided by emotions, hence historians categorize them as mind and the impulse of the India. They differ in their strategy and the outlook. It was a need of time. Moderates means prayers and petitions. They were supporter of Britishers. They had full faith in British Empire. They wanted development of India by the Britishers. They wrote journals, newspapers and all, and practiced only prayers and petition. Extremists, Lal Bal Pal, they brought fundamental changes, that is passive resistance, civil disobedience. They brought civil disobedience, that is practicing a mass movement in a non-violent way. They had not faith in the British Empire. They were the first who brought Swaraj and Swadeshi on Congress platform from 1906 in organized way after Bengal partition. When we come to Gandhism, still it is a debate. What debate? Gandhi borrowed this, or he is a mixture of this. Many of you may be believing Gandhi is simply a mixture. But guys, UPSC is not focusing on narration or simply cramming. UPSC is always searching out what undercurrents you have got in this modern history. The narrow interpretation is Gandhi is a mixture, but answer is what the experts say. Gandhi is not only mixture, he is much beyond the mixture. He brought some new techniques, new methodologies, which were neither known to them, neither known to them. See here about Gandhism. Gandhi became a leader by accident. You know, he was an advocate, he was a barrister. He started his legal career from Bombay High Court. But initially he faced lot of challenges. He couldn't got success. And there once he was doing practice in Bombay High Court, he met Gokhale. And from then onwards, they had lot of interaction through letters. And he regarded Gokhale as a guru. But initially Gandhi was not had any plan to become a leader. And he had faced lot of challenges in India while doing practice in Bombay High Court. Fortunately, destiny was pushing him somewhere else. He got an offer from a firm of Gujarat, Abdullah Firms. And he got hired for 1 year on behalf of this firm, Abdullah Firms, and he is going to South Africa on 1 year agreement. So see how destiny will transform this barrister into a Mahatma, or we can say how destiny will transform this barrister into a father of nation. Not only nation, today he has become the messenger of peace and non-violence at a global level. So how this journey, what are the accidents which transform this barrister into a Mahatma? So just for a few minutes we can discuss this all. So Gandhi is going to Africa, South Africa, on behalf of a firm of Gujarat. There you may surprised to know, it means South Africa, here some accidents shaped this barrister into a political leader. Some events were responsible. So from 1893 till 1906, when he landed first time in South Africa, he witnessed racial discrimination, apartheid. He practiced prayer and petition. He was very shocked. He was having the first class ticket, train ticket, but not allowed. But he practiced prayer and petition. The first, his journey will start from 1893. First time he witnessed racial discrimination. And he got so shocked by it, in 94, he made a local political party to address the grievances of Indians living in South Africa who were encountering the racial discrimination. Natal Indian Congress. Nextly, because in this first phase he is working as a moderate, he had full faith in the British Empire. The prayer and petition. He also supported the British in the famous Boer War, 1899-1902, because he believed by supporting they will bring an end to this apartheid. Even in 1903, he published a newspaper, which is the first paper of the world published in multi languages. Indian Opinion. Indian Opinion. It was published in 4 languages: Tamil, Gujarati, English, and Hindi. Through this paper, he promoted the interest of Indians who were encountering racial discrimination. So you may surprise to know, in this first phase, while he was in Africa, he practiced moderate practices. But from here till in 13, the same barrister who became moderate, he evolved some extremist ideologies. What is extremism? That is passive resistance, disobedience, but by non-violent way. So you may be surprised to know, in the first phase he was moderate. In this phase he became extremist. He started some satyagraha. The word satyagraha got evolved here. He performed the first satyagraha in South Africa against the infamous ordinance against the Indians. And the last satyagraha was performed in 1913, where he performed the famous march. Like in India, he performed Dandi March. The last satyagraha was in 13, where he performed a famous march from Natal to Transvaal, accompanying 2,000 people of different caste communities. Even Kasturba Gandhi was also one of them. Here you may surprise to know, 40% participants there were Muslims. And while Gandhi led in Africa, he stayed for a few months in the family of the Muslims who were relative of the Abdullah families. So I think you got the point. It means his early political experiments by accident got triggered in South Africa. He also came in India, attended the Congress session, not as a member, in 1896, Calcutta, to expose this all to the Congress leaders so that they can raise the voice in favor of Indians living in South Africa. So I think you got the point. Initially, Gandhi is moderate extremist, but finally, he evolved some new practices, neither known to moderate, neither known to extremist. Like your practices, like he brought why constructive programs. Introduced a unique concept, constructive program. They were 13 in numbers. What is CP? It is a holistic process of nation building, and Gandhi visualized it was to be ongoing process, not only before independence, before and after. It was to be ongoing process of nation building, and he wrote a book also on the same, CP and its meaning, in 1943. What are the same? Just have a look of it. Hindu-Muslim unity, Dalit upliftment, Khadi, cotton industries, women empowerment, adult literacy. See the point. Adult literacy, basic education, we call it as a talim, sanitation, languages, national languages and vernacular languages. You may be surprised to know he had asked the Congress leaders to translate all political words and terminologies into the local languages. So through the CP, he is shaping widening the fabric of Indian nationalism. Secondly, the concept of civil disobedience, which he evolved from a American philosopher. Self-reliance from American philosopher. Concept of Ram Raj, Tolstoy, from his book The Kingdom of God is Inside You. His philosophy of non-violence was inspired by Jainism. And the most famous scholar, the famous scholar who had influenced Gandhism was a British novelist, John Ruskin. His book was Unto This Last. Even Gandhi accepted the same in his biography. If I had not gone through this book, I may not have become a Mahatma. It was having such a deep impact. He made the translation of the book in South Africa by the name Sarvodaya. That is well-being of all. Because Gandhi got really moved by the three main aspects of this book. This book is giving three main aspects. Dignity of the work. Every work has equal dignity. Second was very important. Well-being of individual is not possible without well-being of all. See what is going in today's society. Everybody is focusing on self-interest. That is why we have anarchy, disturbance, robbery and plundering and all. So Gandhi believed, not Gandhi believed, this thinker believed that well-being of one is possible permanently only when there is a well-being of all. And third, it means he got this message from John Ruskin, Sarvodaya, and this book got published in 1909 while he was in South Africa. Second famous book was Hind Swaraj, 1908. This is the book where Gandhi had criticized the Western culture, Western institutions which are not suitable for India. So Gandhism or Gandhi thought are lying in these two books. One is Sarvodaya, other is Hind Swaraj. So I think you got the point. So Gandhi is not only moderate extremist, he is much beyond it. He brought some new practices, CPs, a new concept of civil disobedience, guided by the principle of truth and non-violence. Similarly, his concept of Swaraj was having a very broad meaning. Try to understand what meaning of Swaraj Gandhi is giving. Gandhi is saying, Gandhi gave a very broad interpretation of Swaraj. First have a Swaraj over your conscience. First have a Swaraj over your impulses. You are talking about Swaraj of the country. But the foremost is first try to have a Swaraj on yourself, your impulses. Then Swaraj at a local level, panchayat or territory. Then aspire for Swaraj of nation. Nextly, his Satyagraha, very interesting. He evolved a unique concept called as Satyagraha, which has a very broader meaning. Don't think it is simply practicing it of truth or following a truth. Satyagraha has a very broader meaning. Satyagraha is a political tool to oppose the injustice. Oppose the injustice, but by what methods? Gandhi evolved different methods. You can oppose injustice by prayer and petition. It is the first volume, like radio may we have volumes, volume 1, volume 2. So Gandhi evolved a unique practice, methodology of Satyagraha by different volumes. First is prayer and petition. Suppose it is not, your voice is not been heard. Then switch the second volume, individual Satyagraha. Again your voice is not heard. Third volume, go for mass Satyagraha. Even your voice is not heard, switch the fourth volume, Hijrat. Gandhi called it Hijrat, although he never practiced Hijrat. Again one volume is fast unto death. I think you got the point why Gandhism is unique. It had different volumes, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4. He had used this volume of fast unto death 17 times in India. The last was in January 48. So I think you got it. Satyagraha, it means Gandhi is not simply a mixture of moderate extremists. He is much, much beyond it, because he introduced some new practices which was neither known to moderates, neither known to extremists. So I think this nationalism theme is very clear. So we have 3 phases. I am just repeating in short. First phase is early expression of tribals and peasants. Second is Renaissance. And third is organized nationalism under Congress. And outside Congress, we have revolutionaries, capitalists, working class. They are also expression of nationalism, but outside Congress. We cannot discuss it here because of limitation of time. Coming to the next. So here we have discussed themes of modern history. Now in short we can discuss how we can connect the facts with the concepts. Discussing the facts with the concepts. This is very important, and today many of the students are facing a problem how to memorize the facts. The problem is we memorize the fact in isolation. So here my advice is, whatever facts the history in modern history is having, guys, try to connect with the I will give you example also. Don't worry about it. So don't remember facts in isolation. Connect the facts, or remember the facts with respect to the perspective ideologies. Second is socio-economic perspective. Just take an example. In modern history, suppose whatever policies Britishers are making, suppose I ask you, in this phase, first phase, what is the ideology of colonialism? Mercantilist colonialism. But it means only trade and commerce. Forget about India's well-being. Leave India to the gods. in the hands of God. They're not making any change in our language, culture, and all. They're not making they are not serious about governance also. No parliamentary bodies and all. In fact, they are glamorizing our culture because their motive was simply to monopoly and all. Suppose UPSC is asking you, in which phase Britishers interfered in the socio-cultural economic fabric. If you are simply cramming it, you will forget it. But once you remember the fact with the ideology, in this phase, no fundamental changes. They are not interfering in our culture, language and all, even neither in education. But once second phase is coming, I think you got my point. Second phase is coming, that is industrial colonialism is coming, 1813. Fundamental changes are coming. In socio-economic political domain, they are promoting Christian missionaries in India, Western education in India, they are bringing education in India, universities in India, expansion in India, commercialization of agriculture. Everything is coming here because it was the need of industrial colonialism. So I think you got the point. How you can remember facts? When fact is connected with the ideology. I had given example regarding Britishers. In different phases of ideologies, their policies, whatever facts are coming in policies, they are guided by the same. Same is what ideology? I can give another example. Another example of this Renaissance. Here we have many ideologies. Those who were inspired by the past, like Dayanand, Vivekanand. Those who practice the middle path, like Ram Mohan K.C. Sen. If any question is coming from Vivekanand or Dayanand, they are inspired by the past, you know the ideology. So what will be their facts? It will be guided by the same spectrum. If Ram Mohan and K.C. Sen is coming, they follow the middle path. So they will promote middle path means Western culture, Western values and the proper blend of Indian values. So in this way, it will help you in returning the facts. Moderate extremist, you know the moderates, extremist. Extremists were inspired by the past, moderate inspired by the West. And moderates will promote what? Western culture, Western language. Easily you can retain the facts. Extremists inspired by the past, they will promote what? Indian culture, Indian languages, vernaculars and all. So I think you got my point. Facts can be retained in a very smart way when you connect with the ideologies and socio-economic perspective also. Suppose tribal revolts are coming. Tribal revolts of Northeast India, different grounds are there. It is only after the Anglo-Burma War, 1839-42, when Britishers are politically encroaching the Northeast. The Northeast mein grounds are something different. But in the mainland of India, grounds are different. Expansion of this agriculture, traditional this agriculture. Northeast mein, whatever revolts, tribal revolts we are having, Ahom, Naga, whatever we are having, they are not for economic reasons, political autonomy. So I think this point is very clear. Now coming to the last. Last is what is the trend going on? So if you go and see the last 6 years papers, please make in your mind, UPSC is not focusing on narration. UPSC is focusing on interpretation. Today, the questions are being shifted towards, it is not event based, theme based questions. Theme means colonialism theme, nationalism theme, communalism theme. Communalism means communalism. It is a villain of freedom struggle. What is communalism? It is a feeling of deprivation evolving in any community. Keep in your mind, communalism is a feeling of deprivation. So theme based question is coming. Secondly, if you go and see the papers, increasing today we find these themes are oftenly focused in the UPSC mains exams. Economic history, go and see the papers last year and last 3 years question. Every year one question is coming on the same theme. Why in British India we have regular famines? How India witnessed destruction of cotton industries? So it means economic theme should be in your mind. Social dimensions mein Renaissance should be prepared in a smart way. I told you the three ways they had given the medicine of S1, S2. They had given some phrases, and they also were the first who gave birth to early political association of India. And many also became the founding father of Congress. So it means social dimensions theme should be very much clear in your mind. And question on personality basis also coming. That is ideas and leadership. That is moderates, extremists, Gandhists, how they are unique. I think guys this all is very clear to you. Since time is very short, in the succeeding videos, I will come with the new topics. Wishing you all the best.